The last part of the motif is this little floret of leaves at the bottom of the stems. It's quite a complicated pattern in the sense that I'm sure it could be made more easily. It's very convoluted in the description, quite fine and delicate, and the hardest part on it is to make this little border around the middle. I'm using number 60 thread, a 0.75mm hook, and about a yard of cord, which is made out of 4 strands of number 10 thread. The first thing we're going to do is make 90 single crochet over the cord. So once you've done the double crochet, adjust the cord so that the work will lie flat, and fill the remaining space with single crochet. I don't really understand why we're doing this, and as I like to understand the pattern, I try to figure out what they're trying to achieve or what they're aiming at, and the only thing I can think of is that they want this bit to be more solid, but I don't really understand why they want you now to do single crochet. Turn, and over the cord do another 10 single crochet over the next 10 stitches. So you see now why I don't really understand this pattern. I think if I would make this pattern again, I would make it differently. I would just go with a double crochet and then start from there. I don't really know why we've gone back and forth over those 10 stitches. Next step is to do 16 single crochet over cord alone. My main advice here would be to space out the petals quite a lot. They don't tell you how many spaces to leave on the ring when you rejoin from each petal, but in my experience you need to leave quite a few stitches to spread them out evenly. If you make them too bunched up, it's not going to be big enough, and then what I suggest if that does happen, is I would add a few more petals. Nobody will notice. I don't entirely understand this pattern. I'm sure there would be a simpler way to make it, but I'm following the instructions in the book. The next step, once you've got this part, is you need to leave enough space at the top for the stems. In fact, they tell you to sew them in, but I always wait until last because I'm not always sure how big I want the motif to be. So here are the stems, and I always try to make sure that they cover the joint. So once you've got that more or less marked off and you know how much space you need, you're going to have to rejoin the thread. So now that I've got an idea of how far the stems are going to come, I'm going to rejoin, and I have to do it on the right side of the work because I'm going to be working in the front loops of the very first row. So if you look at this, the one I made previously, that very first single crochet row you made over cord and then you covered it with a double crochet. Well, and you made the double crochets into the back stitch. The front loops of that particular row are the ones you're going to use now. This is not easy, it's not as difficult as such, but it's very laborious and you do need good eyesight. So I'm going to now rejoin the thread and I'm going to leave a space for the stems. So that's the front loop of the first single crochet row, chain 3 and make a single crochet in the 4th stitch. So working along on the front loops, I go round to the other end, again making sure I leave the space for the stems. So I'll be working from here to about here. So once you've got that little row of chains done, you're going to break the thread again and you're going to restart here on the first loop. This is why I said that I think this pattern could be simplified and made a little bit easier. If I was designing this, I would most probably do this little row of frills at the beginning rather than afterwards. So on each loop you're going to make 1 single crochet, 3 double, 1 single crochet, and you do this to the end.